From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Yes, we have been involved, and this is a short-term deal because we think ultimately block grants going to the states is going to be the answer.
The long-drawn health care debate is finally seeing some compromise, a bipartisan deal the president endorses and its impact.
Plus, Senator John McCain earns a Liberty Medal for his lifetime of service and sacrifice. How his speech resulted in a war of words with the president, next.
Street homelessness is on the rise here in Maricopa County. How one city is working to help those who are struggling.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Maya Petros.
And I'm Ryan Curry. Thank you for joining us. A bipartisan deal announced today would provide short-term funding for subsidies for health insurance companies that help provide coverage to low-income customers. Reporter Sydney Eisenberg was at the Capitol this afternoon with a group who believes more needs to be done to protect health care.
Senators Lamar Alexander of Tennessee and Patty Murphy from Washington State say they're working to win enough support to push the deal through Congress. But unless that happens, many in Arizona worry about how President Trump's changes would impact their health care. Toni Bannister is a breast and colon cancer survivor. Though she beat her disease, she's still struggling with her health care.
I was 10 years out from having cancer and was still calling and trying to find out if I could get health insurance.
Bannister's family is also caught up in the confusion.
They are unsure as to what to do. I don't know what to tell them to do. So we're just kind of in limbo, waiting to see what happens.
President Trump's plan to cut subsidies could cause many to lose their coverage. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, there are nearly 6 million people nationwide who benefit from those subsidies. If subsidies were cut, the Congressional Budget Office predicts that premiums for lower-income customers would increase 20% by 2018 and 25% by 2020.
But above all, the biggest loser is your everyday American citizen, working-class person who now is going to end up paying because of Trump's ego.
The proposed bipartisan bill would continue federal payments to insurers for 2 more years. Bannister hopes that one day she will never have to worry about losing her coverage.
That the fear that ran through me was overwhelming, and the anger that I felt was overwhelming. The worst part was that I felt hopeless and helpless to change anything.
President Trump is on board with the agreement, calling it a, quote, short-term solution. In the broadcast center, Sydney Eisenberg, Cronkite News.
Arizona Senator John McCain and President Donald Trump have been at odds for years, but the war of words reached new heights today. Cronkite News reporter Bailey Vogt has the details from our Washington bureau.
Senator John McCain has angered President Trump at least twice this summer with votes against a repeal of Obamacare. But his speech yesterday may have been the last straw for the president.
People have to be careful because at some point I fight back. Yeah. You know, I'm being very nice. I'm being very, very nice. But at some point I fight back, and it won't be pretty.
These tough words came in response to McCain's speech in Philadelphia, where he was awarded the 2017 Liberty Medal by the National Constitution Center.
To refuse the obligations of international leadership and our duty to remain the last best hope of Earth for the sake of some half-baked, spurious nationalism cooked up by people who would rather find scapegoats than solve problems.
The speech did not mention Trump by name, but it was clearly bothering the president when he was asked about it in a radio interview today. McCain said in a separate interview that what he was referring to was the general attitude in Washington.
I think that what is clear is what I was talking about as an environment here of non-productivity, of a reversion to the attitude of the 30s, which was one of the major reasons why we fought World War II.
The nationalism line was part of a much larger speech in which McCain called for America to resume its leadership role in the world.
We live in a land made of ideals, not blood and soil. We are the custodians of those ideals at home and their champion abroad.
It expanded on a call McCain had been making since he was diagnosed with a life-threatening brain cancer this summer, a call for more cooperation in Washington. Former Vice President Joe Biden, who presented the Liberty Medal to McCain, said the call was not surprising to people who know the senator.
You took to the Senate floor to remind us all of us who would choose to hold office, Democrats and Republicans alike, what our responsibility is, first to the nation. Responsibility that extends beyond ourselves, our parties.
One of those people is Bruce Reinhardt, a high school classmate of McCain's, who said it was clear, even at a young age, that McCain would march to his own drummer.
He tested the system many times, and you test the upperclassmen in a small private school. You gotta have guts.
In Washington, Bailey Vogt, Cronkite News.
The Liberty Medal is awarded annually to those who have strived to secure the blessings of liberty to people the world over. McCain joins a varied list of recipients that ranges from former presidents to retired Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor to boxer Muhammad Ali.
Senate GOP challenger Kelly Ward is holding a campaign kickoff event tonight here in the Valley. She is getting some big name help for the Senate fundraiser from conservative talk show host Laura Ingraham and former White House strategist Steve Bannon, who recently declared war on any Senate Republican who doesn't openly support and defend Trump. Democratic Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema has also announced that she will run against Flake.
The fight over tax reform in Washington is expected to bring out some big gun lobbyists, but a group of moms took a different tactic today, turning to teddy bears to help them make their case with senators. Cronkite News reporter Trevor Fay was at the Moms Rising event on Capitol Hill this morning to find out more.
Mothers and their babies, two groups that Moms Rising say will be hit hard by the tax reform plans circulating on Capitol Hill. Plans that would cut money from programs like Head Start and Medicaid that mothers say are essential for them and their children.
This is an emergency. Moms and families could not have more at stake. Lives are on the line. That's why we'll be visiting every U.S. senator today to urge them to vote no on the fiscal year 2018 budget.
Moms plan to go to all 100 Senate offices to drop off teddy bears and children's books as a reminder of who would be hurt by the changes. According to Howard Glickman, senior fellow at the Tax Policy Center, the GOP tax plan is not so black and white. Glickman says doubling the standard deduction would benefit many middle-income people, but because the plan would also eliminate personal exemptions, it would hurt middle-income families with many children. Donna Norton of Moms Rising says that she's focused on the cuts to school and health programs, cuts that she says will affect thousands of Arizona families.
We know that it's a very difficult time for many families in Arizona, and we know that many of our members there really rely on some of these key programs like Medicaid to keep kids with disabilities insured.
Staffers in Senator John McCain's office said they could not speak on the issue, but as he walked out of the office, McCain himself said he was grateful for the gifts and that he looks forward to reading the mom's book. In Washington, Trevor Fay, Cronkite News.
While the Republican tax proposal is not a bill yet, President Donald Trump is scheduled to speak about the plan to the Heritage Foundation tonight. He's expected to promise that the plan will spur economic growth to offset any budget cuts.
More than 50% of Arizona's homeless live here in Maricopa County. As Cronkite News reporter Steven Sidner explains, the city of Phoenix is launching a new plan to respond to the problem.
My lungs gave out. I ran out of money, which led, of course, one thing to another to another. Just kind of a snowball effect.
Last summer, Lori Wenzel and her sister lived in a patch tent near I-17 in Grand.
It was kind of hell. You know, you live outdoors during the summer. It happens.
And it happens to more than 3,200 people in Arizona, according to the latest count of unsheltered people completed in January. Moises Gallegos, the director of human services for the city of Phoenix, says that the new plan, known as Phoenix Cares, will connect those in need with organizations that can help.
Number one, strategy is to bring people to services. That's our goal. So we do not provide housing directly ourselves, but there are many programs in the community. We are connected with all of those programs.
What the program does do is create a single place for residents to place their concerns so the city can then respond.
As the calls come in, human services staff will look at that information and where the encampment is being reported. They will direct the resources of a homeless engagement team that would go out and engage individuals to help bring them into services.
Gallegos says that the reason for this new program is because the unsheltered population is growing. According to the Maricopa Association of Governments, Street homelessness is up 60% in the county since 2015. Wenzel is glad to be off the streets and offers this advice to others who are struggling.
Put your faith in God and put one foot in front of the other and live life.
In Phoenix, Stephen Sidner, Cronkite News.
The city will have community meetings next month where they will unveil the plan and the number to call and when to call.
If you have a head injury, you may not need to get a CAT scan anymore.
Those intensive scans may be a thing of the past. In the Valley, doctors are using new technology to scan brains for faster treatment.
Plus, opioid abuse is a serious problem across the nation. What health officials in Washington, D.C. are doing about this epidemic, next.
When a story comes in the morning, we're out the door as fast as we can go.
But it's also great to spend more time in communities and produce projects.
From the borderlands to the cities, the reservations, and even the state capitol, we want to get to the heart of the matter.
When the lights come on in the studio, we know our hard work is about to pay off.
We love what we do here at Cronkite News.
We're proud to tell the stories of our state.
Now more than ever, it's important to have a trusted news source, and that's Cronkite News.
Officially from 36, and he hooks it in! Arizona State wins! Keeping one deep, and it is caught! Jalen Strong! Do you believe
it? New brain injury technology could save you a trip to the emergency room. Cronkite News reporter Tatum Hubble visited an urgent care center to find out how this device is being used.
BrainScope One is a non-invasive new technology that assesses traumatic brain injury. One athlete says the device could be especially useful in sports that carry the risk of head injuries.
This new technology would definitely be a lot more helpful for us, being able to get in and get seen quicker with the urgent care physicians. Lowering costs. A lot of MMA fighters that are just starting out don't really have the money to put in for a CAT scan, so a lot of these injuries go untreated.
Mixed martial arts and boxing are sports that require little to no protective headgear. Traumatic brain injury contributes to a substantial amount of deaths and disabilities each year. Contact sports increase that risk even more. The device is attached to the patient's head and scans for potential brain bleeds or concussions in under an hour, and can lead to earlier treatment.
BrainScope One is basically a device that assesses patients that have come in with any type of head trauma. And it looks at the severity of a potential traumatic brain injury that they've had.
A Banner spokesman said the device saves time and money because patients don't have to go to the emergency room. In Phoenix, Tatum Hubble, Cronkite News.
BrainScope One was developed with grant money from the NFL and in collaboration with the U.S. Department of Defense. And it's available at select Banner urgent care centers.
There have been more than 3,200 possible opioid overdoses in Arizona and 426 deaths just since June. That's when Governor Doug Ducey declared a public health emergency in the state and when Washington may follow suit. Cronkite News reporter Fraser Allen Best has more from the Capitol.
President Donald Trump said in August that the administration is working on a plan to deal with the opioid crisis.
We're going to draw it up and we're going to make it a national emergency. It is a serious problem, the likes of which we have never had.
Trump said yesterday that the plan could come next week when he plans to declare the opioid epidemic a public health emergency. Whatever form the plan takes, experts said yesterday that solutions will have to involve a change in how the justice system views addicts. It was in the early evening here at the National Academy of Sciences that the Surgeon General of the United States sat down with policymakers and other health advisors to discuss possible solutions to the growing and pressing problem of the opioid epidemic. The panel discussed the need for changes that extend beyond the scope of the health department. In conversation with Stephen Leifman, former special advisor on mental health for the Supreme Court, Surgeon General Jerome Adams told a personal story about the crisis.
I've dealt with addiction. I have a brother who's in prison right now because he has untreated mental health problems, which turned into untreated substance use disorder, which turned into a prison sentence.
In fact, people with mental illnesses and co-occurring disorders are 9 times
more likely to be incarcerated than hospitalized.
Trump's plans could be derailed by today's announcement that Pennsylvania Congressman Tom Marino has taken himself out of the running to be the White House's drug czar. Marino's decision follows a Washington Post 60 Minutes report that he was the driving force behind legislation that made it harder for the Drug Enforcement Administration to crack down on the easy supply of opioids.
He was very gracious, I have to say that. He didn't want to have even the perception of a conflict of interest with drug companies or, frankly, insurance companies.
Whenever the changes come, the Surgeon General says the key challenge will be meshing health and criminal justice into a complete solution.
I think we've got to bring the law enforcement community, the business community, and the public health community together because, quite frankly, we've all been living in our silos.
In Washington, Fraser Allen Best, Cronkite News.
While the president said he would unveil his plan next week, no date has been set, and the White House has not released any details on what that plan might include.
Well, traffic is always a hassle.
But it may be getting better for those of you who use Bell Road to commute. How a new initiative is working to reduce and improve the traffic flow here in the valley.
Our temps have been well above seasonal averages, but we do have a slight cool down on the horizon. Your weekend forecast is coming up.
Tickets are now available for the annual Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism Luncheon, held Thursday, October 19th at the Sheraton Grand Phoenix. Join media industry and community leaders in honoring award-winning co-anchors and co-managing editors of the PBS NewsHour, Judy Woodruff and the late Gwen Ifill. To learn more or to purchase tickets, call 602-496-0482 or visit cronkite.asu.edu/luncheon.
What are you doing? Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse. TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere. In the sky, you can see it. PBS, we're with you for life.
Today, Phoenix police officers participated in International Walk to School Day by escorting local kids to school. Enrique O'Marinier shows us why this event is about more than transportation.
I had so much fun at Walk to School Day last year that I decided to come back one more time. Are you ready to walk to school?
International Walk to School Day promotes ditching the car or bus and getting to school on foot.
We want our kids to know that they have a safe alternative to get to school, and that's the walking to school. We teach them how to cross streets, how to look both ways.
Phoenix police officers watched over the almost 2,000 walkers in attendance.
The police are a very integral part of what we do. When we have crowd control issues, you know, they're certainly the ones that control the crowds.
But they're not only there to control the crowds. The officers are in squad cars and on bikes as they interact with members of the community.
A lot of kids are afraid of the police, and we like to get out there on foot, out of our cars, on bikes, participate in these events, show off our gear, show them that they don't have to be afraid of the police.
Kevin Crespin, a third grader at Justin Spatani Elementary School, liked having the police there.
I saw some guns and pepper spray and a taser, and it looks really cool.
It's real difficult right now in these day and age to be a police officer because there's so much negativity. These kids love us. You watch, you bring out the bike, they want a sticker, they want to give you a high five or a fist bump. That's what we're looking for.
Sergeant James Spross says the kids' enthusiasm towards the police can trickle down to the adults in their lives, even further repairing their relationship with the community. In Phoenix, Enrique O'Marinier, Cronkite News.
Walk planner John Cross says there'll be more events in the coming weeks.
7 agencies across the valley are working together to install software at intersections that may cut down your traffic times on Bell Road. Blakely McHugh is in Scottsdale and has more on what this software is and how it works.
The software is called Adaptive Signal Control Technology. It's been installed here on Scottsdale and Bell Road. Now, this is only one of 50 other intersections that'll be installed with this technology.
Bell Road. One of the busiest roads in the valley is getting a makeover.
It's an internal makeover, so even though the road may not look different, you'll be able to feel a difference.
The new technology is called adaptive signal control technology, and what it does is it takes the demands on the roadways and puts some algorithms behind it to come up with new timings on the fly. So when there's changing volumes or traffic patterns on the roadway, we're able to go in and adjust those signal timings very quickly.
50,000 vehicles pass along Bell Road every day. That's a similar volume of cars as the freeway. And commuters say that makes driving on Bell a hassle.
Because of the traffic, and it's just a stop and go, constant. Takes me forever to get anywhere.
The new technology allows light signals to change automatically based off of changing traffic conditions in real time, increasing your chances of seeing green.
We're hoping that it reduces the accidents on Bell Road as well by lessening the chance of a rear end accident and alleviating some of that stop and go condition that's on the roadways.
Now, according to Maricopa County Department of Transportation, this is one of the largest projects of its kind in the nation. At its completion, it'll span 16 miles and pass through 5 cities. In Scottsdale, Blakely McHugh, Cronkite News.
Well, we're over halfway through the month of October, and it's still pretty hot here in the valley.
Let's go to weather with Emily Bloom to see if cooler temperatures are in our future. Emily?
We are headed for a slight cool down, but I'm afraid it's going to be short-lived. We are at 94 degrees at the moment under mostly sunny skies. That humidity, 17%. Our high today of 98 degrees, an entire 10 degrees above that average of 88, and just a few degrees shy of that record of 102 that we set back in 2001. Across the state at the moment, we have got 75 in Cholo, 74 up at the Grand Canyon, 93 down in Tucson, and ditto for those of you in Lake Havasu. Taking a look at our satellite and radar, we've got a little bit of this low pressure system moving in off the coast of California. That is what is responsible for all of the cirrus clouds that we are seeing in our sky today. Tomorrow, we are going to have even more of that all across the state, and by Thursday at about 8 a.m., we're going to have some scattered showers across the high country. Those of us here in Phoenix are probably only going to see a little bit of sprinkles, if anything at all. Taking a look at the big picture, we've got this low pressure system developing up in the Pacific Northwest right now. Over the next couple of days, that is going to track southeast, and as that happens, it's going to push a drier air mass into our state, driving up those winds and pulling those temperatures down just a couple degrees for our weekend. By tomorrow, we have got a high of 97 degrees. Friday, we drop that down to 91. We could fall into the upper 80s by the weekend, and by the beginning of next week, that high pressure system returns and those temperatures bounce right back up again. For Cronkite Weather, I'm Emily Bloom.
Inspiration born out of the Las Vegas shooting is leading to a campaign to thank first responders.
Coming up on Cronkite News, a chance meeting over coffee started a letter writing movement at one Peoria high school, delivering more than 1,000 thank yous.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Exploring, it's the lifeblood of the mission.
Human beings are a curious bunch.
What are we going to see when we get really close?
Just because an idea is crazy, it's not necessarily wrong.
We were on our way.
You don't get anywhere until you've tested the limits.
That carries an intensity you can't imagine.
You could hear people just, whoa.
Oh my God, absolutely spectacular.
It's a rush. We ask a lot of our heroes.
We are at a remarkable moment.
We're going farther than any exploration ever has.
A few weeks after the Vegas shooting, one Phoenix woman is working to spread love to first responders with handwritten notes. As reporter Monica Sampson shows us, a chance meeting made those notes grow from hundreds to thousands in a matter of days.
On the campus of Centennial High School, one student has encouraged her classmates to write thousands of letters to Las Vegas first responders. It all started with a chance meeting with initiative founder Natalie Riley.
I was at a local Starbucks writing thank you notes, love notes. Lo and behold, sitting next to me is Chelsea, and we just got to talking, and we asked her if she would like to write a thank you note because we were thinking about traveling up to Las Vegas and take some of these notes for the first responders up there.
Chelsea Opat took 100 cards from Riley. The next day, she took them to her school, and 100 letters turned into more than 500 in 24 hours.
It's amazing to know that it spread like that there's a lot of love in this world, that not everyone has an ego that'll stop them from writing a little thank you note, because I know for some high schoolers, they don't want to do that. They think it's childish, but it means a lot, and it's just amazing that they have such a heart for it, and it makes me feel very happy that they do it.
Chelsea says letters like this only take about a minute to write, but it's in that minute that they can make all the impact.
I've noticed that a lot of students are feeling very grateful, as well as they wish they could have done so much more for the tragedy in Las Vegas, but these notes have led them to being able to actually do something, to take action. As a student, you can't do much. You can't just drive up to Las Vegas when you have school, when you have work. So these notes are simple, they take less than a minute, and they just mean a whole world to them and the officers receiving them.
In Peoria, Monica Sampson, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, new efforts are underway to improve safety on the valley's light rail system, and a look at a documentary about the fight over women's reproductive health care.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour with a young conservative elected in Austria. A look at the rise of right-wing parties across Europe. That's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top news stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.